To me, this is 90% about getting you guys familiar with the campaign and getting your characters generated.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought
Um,
we were to talk about what triggers us.
Mm.
I'm sure none of us.
yeah, apparently some people, the session zero is about setting up like X cards and
Yeah, yeah.
trigger
I mean,
warnings and stuff like that. And it's like,
I mean,
what?
for me, it's mostly about like figuring out what the campaign is going to expect of me as a player.
Exactly. Yeah. So most of you have probably read at least the initial parts of the book. But just to refresh your memories, um, your players will be playing on Earth in the year 1974, but it is an alternative Earth and an alternative timeline. So the basis of this particular game, and I wrote the game in an absolute flurry of mad hurry. And it is a micro red game. It's based on the micro red rules from the Red Room, kind of like Voidhaven Outpost. And it's basically based upon the conspiracy theory and the kind of urban myth around a supposed Nazi base in Antarctica called Base 211. Um, and what I did was I created, and I didn't create it with the idea of ever turning it into a game. I created a red, uh, you know, inspiration on the Discord server, Red Room Discord server, that was pulled into um, the red rules, uh, and it's basically base to 11, and it's done from the perspective of a human thrall who, along with some other thralls, managed to escape from the Xenolords who conquered Earth in the 1930s. And when the saucer they stole crash landed into Antarctica, they were cooked. They pretty much expected that the hunter killer drones that the Xenolords sent after them would kill them, but instead they were found by the people of Base 211, which was founded by the Thule Society in the 1930s. And then, of course, when Nazi Germany was destroyed, they were cut off. They were cut off from the world entirely and developed on their own separately. And they call themselves the Iceborn or the Eisegeboren, the Eisegeborenen. So, just as what we call their location of Base 211, we call Queen Maud Land, but they call it Neuschwabenland Stützpunkt, which I'm probably butchering the German, but okay. Anyway, so
Yeah, it was pretty good.
the this is all the usual stuff. Like if you guys ever played any of the LucasArts games that were built around World War II, like Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe, I mean, it's very much in that vein. It's a post-Nazi splinter group. They became something else. They use genetic manipulation. They've uncovered technologies associated with Diglaka, which is the enormous mythical bell-like thing that you hear about in conspiracy theories that generates something called real energy. And yes, real is something that's tied into conspiracy energies as theories as well. I just kind of took it and ran with it. I didn't even care what the prevailing opinions in certain spaces were of this. I just wanted it to be fun.
Well, also
And
is that
so,
you want the end result to be fantastical and not try to make it a realistic military game.
oh yeah, it's not. It's pure pulp adventure and fantasy, right? So if you think about, it's really 1950s era pulp is the theme I'm going for. Yes, it takes place in the year 1974, but it's the year 1974 as it might be imagined in a kind of a diesel punk fantasy. It's basically it incorporates both the base to 11 myth, secret societies, Really cool Hugo Boss influenced uniforms, but also, you know, this whole thing of an alien invasion and the Earth lost. Anybody who's played Half Life probably has an idea of the kind of themes that you get into with that. The Xenolords basically took over Earth, destroyed most of our power centers. The ones they didn't care about and aren't much of a threat to them. Of course, they don't know about Base 211, which frankly is a threat to them, but they don't know, and it's meant to stay that way. So the story that you see there at the beginning of the book that I shared with you all is that original story, and it talks about how the assault from the Xenolords started in 1934, and it was only a 6-month war, and they basically conquered. Europe was destroyed. The east coast of the United States was destroyed. Virtually every major nation on Earth was crushed.
Well,
And
except for Russia, but Russia was special.
Russia was special because it's actually become the head of the Xenolords, and basically all the Soviets have been replaced by Xenolord overlords, and so they, in a sense, were the first to fall, but also never really fell because they were a subversive element to begin with. So you have this complete reimagining of human history in that period of time. And so you guys are a part of this world. You're a part of Base 211. And there's a number of ways your characters might have gotten there, as you'll find out as we roll up the characters, because it's now reached a point where it's been 40 years since the conquest. The great cities of mankind are basically just black silica and radioactive glass. All the old human conflicts are essentially dead now, along with most of the people who were behind them. The Xenolords are these hideous uh, abominations from beyond the sky. Their actual origins are not spelled out in the book. I'm not, obviously they have them, but I do leave blank spaces on purpose because you never know how somebody running the game might want to do it. And it might be that nobody ever knows where the Xenolords came from. Maybe they come from outside the solar system. Who knows?
To be honest, that is actually kind of a fun thing. It's like, because like in universe, how much do people actually know? Because like from the perspective of you playing a character, you don't really know that much.
Yeah. The fictional world we've got here is based upon a simple foundation. There was the eyewitness account of a survivor who crashed in the Antarctic in 1973 and killed his quisling friend Spence, a thoroughly mind corrupted thrall who was being used as a kind of Judas goat. And this guy brains this fella who was his friend after his friend murdered his girlfriend. And in the effort to let the Xenolords know about Base 211. And a red vision of an alternative retro future is what I called it. But now this has become a complete game. So basically, you are a human resistance to the Xenolords who conquered Earth. You might be part of the Iceborne, or you might be some of those who have come to the Iceborne in various ways and are learning to learn the things that you need to know to fight against the Xenolords. This gives for a lot of opportunities for adventure. Because this is going to be all about playtesting these new rules, I'm not necessarily going to run you through the stock campaign suggestion that I made in the rules themselves. I have a feeling many people who might pick up the game will just want to say, "Oh, you know what? That looks nice, but I just want to run some adventures, and we'll just do something pulpy." So there's a lot of things you could do. I mean, there could be adventures where you're finding lost technology. There could be adventures where you're spying on the Xenolords. There could be adventures where you're making contact with humans in faraway places, isolated places like the Rocky Mountains or the deepest jungles of Africa, or the deep ravines of the Karakoram Range in northern India. I mean, it could be any number of things. And of course, there's room for adventure in Base 211 itself, because Base 211, as you can imagine, given the circumstances, is riven by factions. So, there are the ones who, now all of the Eisengeborenen, have the same basic ideology. They believe in eugenics. They believe in human improvement through genetic manipulation and selective breeding. Um, they are the more positive face of eugenics as opposed to the negative face of eugenics. But not all of them are necessarily like that, especially given their origins. So you have a faction that is quite hardcore, that believes that they should fully embrace the Darwinian necessity of human improvement, including eliminating or simply allowing to die those who are unfit. But then you also have another group that has always seems to happen in every society, is almost running counter to this underlying moral compass, uh, even though to do so in theory probably endangers the whole enterprise. And then you have the ones in between who are dedicated to their founding ideals, but who also know that in a way they are a new thing. And they are trying to find the middle path that will take them successfully towards the victory over the xenolords, which they must win if humankind is to survive. I mean, the xenolords are perfectly capable of treating humans as tasty snacks. It's that kind of grim reality, and yet it's in a pulp sensibility. So it's like, unlike in true horror, there's no despair or element of hopelessness in it. It's not like Elohim or darker. It's more pulp. I mean, it's more like Robert E. Howard is writing this. You guys can fight, and that's part of what you'll be doing. Is your characters, their goal is to improve and to become more and more improved, to become, in a sense, more human than human. Right? This is where the positive case for transhumanism comes in. Are the Eisengeborenen are the Iceborn still human once
Well,
they achieve their goals?
one thing that occurred to me from the initial description is that, unlike Independence Day, where you have this giant alien fleet come out of deep space and literally just blow things up with brute force, while they did demolish cities, they didn't do it with that level of brute force that you had in Independence Day.
They didn't have to.
But also is that they didn't necessarily have the same sort of like reusable resources from Independence Day. They did like an insider job where the amount of effort needed was considerably lesser, but also it means that they used up those resources.
Well, the truth is they were subversive first. They took a look at humankind, and this reminds, if you've ever read H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds, he, at the very beginning, he talks about how malign alien intelligences on Mars actually examined humans over an extended period of time, uh, to determine from their alien perspective what our weaknesses were. And in so doing, they came to Earth fully prepared to conquer us. They were not defeated ultimately in War of the Worlds. They were not defeated by the things that humans could do. They were defeated by something they weren't even, in theory, aware of. Now, what I've always thought was very odd is that if they watched humans for that long a period of time, they would have realized we had great epidemics. And they surely would have thought, oh, I wonder where those epidemics came from.
Well,
Um, but apparently they didn't. And then the bugs killed them. Yay, bugs. Um, but yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, except that the Xenolords were more crafty and successful than the Martians of Wells' imagination. They subverted humankind using human ideas, or at least ideas propagated by humans. But in this alternative timeline, it was it was propagated on behalf of the Xenolords. It's very much a story of subversion of human quislings who actually help those who rule over humankind now. and the threat that represents. And that's part of the reason why the Xenolords, if you think about it, do it. They know the best way to rule humankind is to use other humans to do it. And again, if you think about the game Half-Life, you have an element of that too, although that it kind of came back to like a very small group of humans. But let's be frank, more realistically, the alien overlords would find many willing cat's paws. They would. So you guys have to deal with that problem as well. So it's conspiracy, it's super science, it's science fantasy, it's alien horror, it's all that stuff. It's very pulpy. So before we get started with character generation, does anybody have any questions?
Oh yeah, for our uh, uh, starter campaign, I guess to say. Wasn't sure what right word to use for it there, but what affluence level are we having as the ceiling here?
Yeah, well, that was part of what I was going to go through as the character generation. I think that um, I'm going to go ahead and allow you guys to roll full 1d6s
Hmm.
instead of just the 1d4s because I'm curious to see how that works. But because in the world of base 211, coming from a particularly prominent background doesn't necessarily have the same impacts as it would in a normal red campaign or micro red campaign.
Yeah, that's part of why I was wondering, because like I was looking at it, it's like this doesn't really mean you're rich. It means you're a social elite, but you're still not actually in charge of society. You're just the special
It's social
super
class.
soldier.
Yeah, it's your originating social class. It's for me, origins are much more about your social class. And even that will vary according to other things that come out in the game, such as, your actual in other kinds of games it would be called race. Obviously it's not quite race in this campaign, but there's different types of PC that you can play. So, yeah, so I'm probably not gonna cap that. I mean, unless everybody rolls a 6, in which case, okay, whatever. But, that would make for a very different campaign, I think, than if we just have a wide variety of people who are part of the group. There was somebody else who was gonna say something?
No, I was going to say that I have no questions, probably when we start.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a good way to do it.
How
So let
Nazi
me
are we still? How Nazi are we still? We are still in the same mindset of the past, or has it changed?
I guess I don't understand.
Uh,
So the Isaac Abornin originated as part of the Thule Society. So you're talking about Germany in 1934.
yes, that's it.
So the founders were definitely tied into the Nazi Party and into the Thule Society and to that whole movement of the German folk magic scene. And there was several different elements. There was. But it's been 40 years, and the truth is Hitler and Goering and Stryker and all those guys died. Basically, the entire Nazi leadership is dead, along with the entire Soviet leadership and the entire American leadership and the entire UK leadership. They're all dead, and they've been dead for 40 years. So what's happened is that Base 211 has developed out of that. So they're kind of post-fascist. They would still probably strike people as fascist by modern standards. But their ideology is not the mature ideology of the Nazi Party you see during World War II. It's because World War II never happened. It's they are really much more militaristic, eugenicists, super scientists. They're archly militant. They have a strong sense of their own superiority. The thing is, it's based in fact. They are generally superior because they've played games with their own genes, right? The Isaac Abornin are a realization of eugenics ideas that were current in the West from I'd say 1890 all the way up until the 30s and 40s. It wasn't until the horrors of World War II, the mass murders at places like Auschwitz and 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 various other mass murders that happened this way. It wasn't until then that eugenics really got acquired a stink. Um, I'm not a eugenicist myself, but it's in the context of this campaign, it makes sense that they believe in this stuff because they're all the inheritors of they're the inheritors of this more, how shall I put this? It's the more conspiratorial, the more secret society mindset. So this is more like the Thule Society. This is more like the Volk magic users. This is more like secret weapons of the Luftwaffe and Nazi super science. I think that there was even a movie that was basically in this vein called Iron Sky or something like that. And
Oh yeah, I saw
it's
that.
more, yeah, it's more along those lines. So no, these guys are not hardcore doctrinaire Nazis looking to exterminate people, except there is a faction at Base 211 that is much more of that mindset. But they are one of the factions. The guy who actually runs everything, um, let's see, and I would have to uh, pull up his character sheet. It's basically it's General Oberst Lothar the Frostgraf Brandt. So he's the one who's actually in charge of the base, and he's like third generation. So it's been 40 years. And he is much more of that middle of the road, trying to balance all the factions within Base 211 to keep everyone focused on the goal. And with the invasion of the aliens and the subjugation of humankind, their focus has changed. They now want to focus on human improvement for the purposes of throwing out the foreigners. They're far more worried about the xenolords and the xenolords' willing servants now than old racial theories. It's not that those ideas aren't present, it's that they're not forward. This is much more kind of the fun, pulpy kind of thing than it is the hardcore Nazi bad guy thing. It's in fact, you can play one of the Iceborne, right? If you read the original starting story, um, it's it's clear that the Iceborne are not like hardcore SS troopers. They're just not. They're different. They have an entirely new ideology. So that's the key thing. I mean, it's still there. Like for instance, in the story, it's like the lead character, his mother's Jewish, and he's thinking, "Can I tell her that? I don't know if I can tell her that," um, because they still have the attitude that there are varieties of humankind that are better and worse, but it isn't this obsessive desire to destroy any one particular group. Their real focus is casting out the xenolords, and you know probably then becoming the new rulers of humankind once the xenolords are cast out. But again, that's part of the game. If you read through the rules, one of the things you'll discover is that there is a proposed campaign arc, and this proposed campaign arc is meant to lead you through a number of sessions to complete the work, right? So this is about taking you through what in another context might be a series of pulp novels, right? Um, so that's at least that's one proposed campaign arc. That's not what we're going to actually be doing for now, because there's various things about the rules I want to kind of flesh out. But it's you've got these, and at the end of that arc, your characters ideally will have maxed out the ice component of the Fleisch ice. Instead of having the other notions of character progression. Here, improvement means that you more typify the Iceborne ideal, and as you continue to go along, in theory, you should progress along that line more towards ice and away from Fleisch. So, like the first session in the proposed campaign starts with the first act, which is Foundation, which is sessions 1 through 5, where you have a team that arrives. This is meant to kind of replicate the original story. Then you have, the conflict within the group, or presumably with an NPC. You have the conflict where there's this possibility of betrayal, but it's overcome. Then you have your first surface combat. Then you have the betrayal, and then you have basically Die Glocke and the beginning of faction issues. And then things escalate, and then eventually they resolve. I mean, that's the premise, is that of the proposed campaign, which is that, hey, this becomes a full-on pulp story with scenes and acts, and your sessions become about working out this kind of almost novel in game form, or series of novels in game form. But it doesn't have to be played that way. I mean, the way we're going to be doing it is it can be played session by session, just coming up with various ideas and missions for your team to do. It can be done that way too. So, in any event, so to answer your question, Miguel, without taking a million words to say it, you guys are not. Number one, it's not necessarily Nazis. It's post-Nazis. So they still have this eugenicist idea. They are still dedicated to certain ideals of their founders, but those ideals were not necessarily entirely in harmony with the Nazi Party itself. As you may recall, the Thule Society eventually got shut down because they were much more focused on the Volkish ideas than they were upon the political ones.
Well, one thing that occurs to me here is that the timeline you set up for this has it that Germany gets overrun and obliterated before World War II actually started, so that most of the actual proper horrors that that took place in that time period in real life got preempted.
Yeah, and in fact, the horrors got carried out by the Xenolords and their servants. Right? I mean, the destruction of the cities, the killing of millions upon millions of humans. I mean, the world's heavily depopulated now. That's the premise of the game, because the Xenolords killed off huge numbers of people. They killed off the leaders. They killed off the armies. They destroyed the infrastructure. And now what's left is just, slave populations. Some of whom are simply being raised as a kind of cattle. So it's the Xenolords who are the source of not genocide, but xenocide. They're committing xenocidal acts against humankind. They're the real horror. The Einsatzgeborenen, for all their flaws, I mean, again, they're basically another variety of fascist in some ways, or perhaps a better term would be militarist. But are they authoritarian? Yes. But they still have factions. Are they militaristic? Oh, yes, because that's a part of their founding. But then they kind of have a justification. Look at the world. This is meant to make it something people can play without being uncomfortable about the themes.
We are not
And
Mhm.
yeah, it's like they're not the bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not. It's like, what was that weird movie that came out recently?
Nazi
It was like-
ideology has been softened to a positive eugenics program. Yeah, it's here in the.
It's more like Sweden in the 1930s than Germany in the 1930s. I don't know how much you guys looked into it, but the Swedes had this really, state-sponsored positive eugenics program that they really put a lot of effort and money into, before the left kind of took over there. It's a fascinating read, and then it gets into all this stuff like what is it with the North countries and nudism in the 1930s? They were all into it. I don't know. For all I know, that
They're probably into it still.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they for all I know, the Isaac Gabornin are going to have like hot springs, and everybody shows up and just does mixed bathing, which would make it perfect for an anime show. This is the Japanese anime version of post Nazis.
Geothermal heat is actually a recurring theme in stuff using Antarctica as a setting. So hey, why not?
Well, it's actually I think people confuse Antarctica with Iceland sometimes, but I mean, the premise works. They have volcanoes in Antarctica, but yeah. So don't worry too much about the real world politics because the real world died in 1934. We're fully in pulp world now. This is all pulp.
Just to be clear, I wasn't worried. I don't mind being a Nazi. I was just asking.
Well, I mean, yeah, people can go with Mueller's. That's the name of the guy who's kind of the head of the darker faction. Mueller does exist, and I mean, he could be either a foil or an ally. But his goals are much more in line with the strictest conventions of the founding, with strict ideas of volkishness and strict ideas of eugenics. So he's much closer to what you would have imagined the original Nazis to be like. The other thing to bear in mind is that because of what happened to the world, their ideology changed. They were completely isolated. Suddenly, all these people who were sent there, the soldiers, the scientists, the leadership, they were completely cut off. And they had to come up with their own system based upon the ideals of their founding. And so they have, despite what they say, particularly under the leader of the current General Oberst, they are considerably different in many ways because they're in a different world. This is an alternative Earth. In an alternative Earth, many things that happened in the real world didn't happen. It's just a fact, and as a consequence, people were free to make different choices. So that's kind of my argument for what the Isaac Gabornin are like. Depending upon your point of view and how a game master chooses to run the game, they're either good guys who are a little scary, or very gray and perhaps in their own way as dangerous to humankind as the Xenolords, though not nearly practically dangerous, because the Isaac Gabornin want to convert humankind in light of their ideals, and this is something they can actually do through their gene treatments. Whereas, the Xenolords just want to eat you as human steak tartare, or have you as a pet. So there you go. So does anybody have any questions about that? Because I want to make sure from the outset you guys are completely comfortable with where the campaign will be going. This is really going to be a pulp adventure, science fantasy, 1950s style stuff.
Sounds like you should write this as a novel.
I've thought about it. It's some of my inspirations. I've had people suggest that to me.
I mean, is this the sort of a setting where having a proper lore book does make sense because of just how much the setting is kind of out of the ordinary.
That is true. It is. It's kind of like being dropped into Warhammer 40K without having decades of lore behind it.
I think you could expand a bit on the setting.
Yeah.
It's mostly bullet points, but if you expand a bit, not too much. But,
yeah, I think that's a good idea. I do have the timeline, which was meant to kind of help flesh out certain ideas about how things happened. Because, I mean, basically, the war only lasted 6 months. And the Xenolords had no problem having subverted humankind and gained control of a major faction They had no problem defeating us because, of course, this was on the brink of World War II. The Japanese and the Chinese and the Germans and the French and British and the Americans and everyone else were eyeballing each other and being very carefully subverted from within. It wasn't just that it wasn't just that the Xenolords made use of Marxism and Marxist movements to subvert humankind and create a major faction. They tainted everything. So they tainted German politics. They tainted colonialism. They tainted American exceptionalism. They tainted everything. Therefore, producing conflicts through humankind that weakened everyone at the moment when they needed the most possibility of unity. So, yeah, you're probably right. I probably do need to provide a little more background on the setting. I did provide some there in the beginning of the book. Maybe it's not quite enough. Remember, guys, I wrote this very fast. I'm amazed I got done what I did.
The original story was in Red Alerts 1.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was about 2 months ago. No, not 2 months.
That reminds me. So something I've noticed while reading it is that there are certain places where it looks as if you copy pasted the name of a file. I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to mean.
Yeah, those are all going to come out. Those were I built this as a series of design notes and just started expanding it. So as I built it, I had links to where I got my source from because I had various notes that I had already created, and I just kept building on them. But all of that's got to come out because none of it makes sense anymore. It's not a real reference. It's a reference to my notes
like
that I kept building on.
Let's see here. Page 34. Optional defined bonds and secrets. These are the soap opera fuel, and then it has after that Red Alerts issue 1.txt.
Yeah, and that's a direct reference to Red Alerts, and you will see things like that. There's other things. There's also references to the micro red rules.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be going through and pulling all that out. I didn't take time to do it because I was also working on Elohim here recently, as you guys know.
Well, what exactly is a red vision of future?
Oh, that was the original story.
Oh, okay.
That you see in Red Alerts number 1.
Like that's the thing I see referred to most often.
Yeah, it's the canonical story. So everything else comes out of that. So it gets referred to a lot because it was what I used. It's like anytime I was wondering if I was wandering too far afield, I went back, read the original story, and said to myself, okay, is what I'm doing right now consistent with that? And sometimes it wasn't, and that meant, okay, this thing I'm doing, I'm dropping it and doing something else. So, I mean, it was really intense. I've never felt that level of inspiration about anything that I've done in the gaming space before. I mean, I love Elohim, and yet I can't work as fast with Elohim as I did with this. Partly because this is just pulpy fun. The problem with Elohim is I know enough about the underlying theology that I have to be very careful how I write things to keep them consistent with what I expect them to be.
Oh, well, I mean, it's one of those things with like a lot of like pop culture things is that if you're writing a Superman comic book, you have to be very, very careful to stick to the source material.
Unless, you're one of the modern DC writers, in which case you don't care.
I mean,
but yeah,
that's one of their failings and why people don't like their work.
Yeah, it's always that. I mean, that's always that. To be honest, I didn't pay a lot of it. I did pay some attention to the base 211 myths, but not a lot, not a lot. And again, I will be adding to the material in this book, you guys. That link that I've given you will continue to work. What I may do is share you guys a link that is what they call a comment link, where you can go in and comment on things if you think I like this, I don't like that. I mean, don't be offended if I don't take your suggestions, but then again, I may. So don't be offended if I take your suggestions. So, because I mean, this is new for me. I've never written a game before. I've written supplement. I've written short stories and short thematic material. I've written adventures, um, but I've never actually written a full game book of some kind. So, and ironically, despite my thinking Elohim would be the first one, it's actually based to 11. Oh well, I'm not sure what that means. Probably means I'm a Nazi.
You are not.
I will be
I think
canceled.
it's because you are over. You have too much things to put
you
into
should-
Halloween. You
you
are
should
too
probably-
close to the team, probably.
You have to publish this one at drive-through. I'm sure they will like it.
Play a world-saving Nazi. No, in a way, Sylvia, I think you're right. Elohim, it's kind of like Darker was, I guess, for Miguel.
Mhm.
It's so close to. I really have thought a lot about Elohim, almost too much, and I keep going down rabbit holes because there's a million directions I could go in. Um, do I want it to be more super heroic? Do I want it to be more stark and horrific? Do I? And the truth is, if I do it right, it can probably be either one. And people can decide how they want to run the game. And do they want to focus on the stark religious horror aspect? Do they want to focus on the kind of dark fantasy aspect? Because it's both. And to be honest, Elohim's a little weird. There's not a whole lot of games that take on that particular theme, and the ones that do typically are vampire games or stuff like that, or they're UFO conspiracy games, not games where you kind of take a particular religious concept that's actually very ancient and you run with it.
Well, that's actually one of those things that's interesting is that eldritch horror, like the true Lovecraftian eldritch horror, is atheistic in that it avoids touching on real world religions, but in universe it replaces the real world religions with fictitious ones, and then just dumps all of the religious fervor from real world things onto those, and just keeps going from there.
Well, this is the great irony. Would you say, Amy?
So that's common in science fiction and fantasy as well.
Oh yes, yes, you're absolutely right. And in fact, I don't know. Have any of you guys played the computer game Call of Cthulhu?
No.
I played it. It's kind of
Yeah, it came out in 2018, I think.
I mean, I have some knowledge of what happens in it, but
Oh,
I
no,
didn't
I-
actually play it myself. I think
I
I
played
watched
the Call-
Heathen Dog play it on stream.
Would you say, Miguel?
I played the Call of Cthulhu game, but it was older than that, I think.
Oh, you're probably thinking of the old graphic adventure. It would be either Prisoner of the Ice, maybe, or
Let me check. Maybe I'm making a mistake.
there's also one called Dark Corners of the Earth.
Dark
which
Corners
is
of the Earth.
Exactly. That's the
Okay,
one.
yeah, gotcha. Okay, so here's the great irony. And like you, Mark Hockman, I've seen the plays throughs. I didn't actually play Call of Cthulhu, the game, because I wasn't too sure about it. And sure enough, I was right. If you play Call of Cthulhu, the game, the first thing you realize is it's not Lovecraftian at all. It really isn't. Why? There's a fundamental problem with that game. The people who play in the game determine whether Cthulhu returns.
Hmm.
That is not Lovecraftian. Cthulhu in Lovecraft returns when the stars are right. Nothing you do will change that. Nothing you do can make it happen faster. And in fact, his worshipers, he barely notices. They're the products of his dreaming during a phase of wakefulness, where he's more awake rather than deeply asleep. And those images reach the minds of sensitive human beings, and they start worshiping something that doesn't even care about their existence. It's like being worshiped by ants. And that's where Call of Cthulhu gets it wrong. It's just a horror game. It's not a Lovecraftian horror game. If it was Lovecraftian horror, it'd be more like Prisoner of the Ice.
Or like your real goal is to survive the events that happen in the game and maybe save someone else along the way. and it's
Or
not to
simply to
determine the future of the world.
right, or simply to defeat his current cult, some cultists, or some minor horror that has come about as a result of cult activity.
Oh,
I
right,
mean,
right.
kind of like
Because like
I mean, but you're not defeating Cthulhu. Cthulhu doesn't know you exist, and nothing you do can change what he's going to do to you. Or actually, I say do to you. He's not going to do it to you. He's going to do it to the world, and you just happen to be there.
well, that's actually one of those things with some of these things that I think they just like go too big. It's like, oh no, you have to save the world, like, or you're just like stopping a local cult leader from destroying the town. That's also a
Yeah.
valid motive. Well, why do you have to
Yeah,
set
it's
the
absolutely
stakes
valid.
being the entire world?
Yeah. Well, it's also as much as your character. It's kind of like think about the Shadow over Innsmouth. That is a local cult that subverts humankind in favor of aliens. These are basically aliens living in the depths of the ocean. Now, they do worship these ancient horrors like Dagon and Cthulhu, but that's not the point. This is a very real, horrific subversion tied to these ancient horrors, but you're not fighting Cthulhu. You're you're fighting these undersea dwellers, which we have of course pulled into Red Room Games under a different name. Or the other one would be um, something like the Call of Cthulhu, the classic story. That story is about finding out things humans weren't meant to know. It's not about defeating Cthulhu. Nobody defeats Cthulhu. Um, I mean, the guys in the boats temporarily disincorporating him during a period of wakefulness, but you're not actually told that that's Cthulhu. People assume that. It is possible that they simply encountered a very large star spawn, and that star spawn was the horror they encountered. In fact, I've come increasingly to believe that Lovecraft never meant for you to think that that thing was Cthulhu,
Lovecraft
because
also
Cthulhu you couldn't fight.
Lovecraft also used the idea that like Cthulhu's dreams could directly affect reality. So
Exactly.
you could end up fighting something that was a phantasmal shade that is more powerful than anything humans can comprehend. And
Mhm.
okay, you might beat it, but or maybe you just like fight it and until it eventually dissipates and you think you killed it, but the reality was that Cthulhu simply stopped dreaming about that shade.
Or then you've got the Dunwich Horror, right? And this was because some basically degenerate human um, with access to powers he didn't understand and shouldn't have had crossbreeds his own offspring with a monster from beyond and produces a serious problem for his community in so doing, because two children are born, one of them more human and one of them considerably less. And again, you're not defeating any of the outer gods or the great old ones. You're not even confronting them. You're confronting the side effects of a human wizard doing something he should have known better than to do, but he was too crazy and wicked and basically perverted to care. But anyway, yeah, so that's not what we're talking about, though. We're talking about Base 211. Base 211, the Xenolords are definitely horrors that can be fought.
Yeah, they're not exactly eldritch horrors, they're alien horrors.
They're nasty squid things. They're hideous. They're revolting. They love to eat humans. They love to have humans as pets. They consider us a kind of animal. I mean, that's what they are. They are the really bad guys, and that's meant to provide a clear white and black in the game. There's no question about it. You guys are the good guys. Um, you're not necessarily good guys like we would imagine in the present time, but then that's the whole reason we play games, is because we're kind of sick of the day to day. This is pulpy 1950s style good guys against bad guys, and the bad guys are the blackest of black. They're evil. They're conquerors. They're cruel. Um, they're just absolute monsters, intelligent monsters, technologically advanced monsters, monsters who have a considerable advantage, but also one significant disadvantage. They don't know about base 211. So that's another thing that's part of the game, and I'll need to be careful to make sure that I spell that out in the game rules. That keeping base 211 secret is a big part of the game. Remember, that's part of the founding story, is that there was a guy who was prepared to betray humankind on behalf of the Xenolords, and the narrator of the story brains him with a monkey wrench or some kind of wrench to keep him from doing that. And this was a guy he thought was his best friend. So that element of alien horror, subversion, paranoia, conspiracy, super science, it all comes together. And I hope it will turn out to be a very rich brew for everyone. So let's go ahead and get started with character generation. So the first thing you need to do, guys, is roll your 6 stats, or you can choose the Pulp Hero Array. This is your option. So as I pointed out in the base 211 channel, this first step, you're either going to roll 4 die 6 and drop the lowest die, and you're going to roll it 6 times because there's 6 stats, or you're going to choose the Pulp Hero Array and assign it freely. And the Pulp Hero Array is 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. So these are your choices of character generation methods. If you choose to generate your PCs, you are welcome to use your own dice, or since I have the button dice roller up in the voice channels chat, you could hit the stats button and that will roll 4d6, drop the lowest 6 times for you, and give you an array to start with. So you guys just decide what you want to do, and we'll go from there. Amy, what do you want to do? Do you want the heroic array, Pulp Hero Array, or do you want to roll?
I'm going to use the array.
Okay, so you will use the array. Mar Hockman, do you want to roll or use the array?
So I just clicked the stats button on your thing, right?
Uh-huh. I'm not
Yeah,
seeing it.
I'll just do that then.
Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, so Mar Hockman, here is your array. You have a 9, a 15, a 7, a 12, a 7, and a 15. Very interesting. Okay. So let's see. Miguel, do you want the heroic array or do you want to roll?
I will take the array. I usually roll badly, so I think it's
Okay.
safer.
All right, so that's 2 taking the heroic array, and 1 is rolled. And Sylvia, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna roll because I like rolling, so I'm ready to do
All
my
righty. Roll your own dice or click the stats button.
Oh no, there's a sets button. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I decided I would create custom dice for us. So Sylvia, what have you chosen?
I'm rolling, but I'm rolling with my dice.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Just tell me when you're done.
So that was 14, 13, 12.
Oh, yeah, let me give you the heroic array, guys, for those who've chosen the heroic array. It is 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8, and then arrange to suit yourself. And the 6 stats that we have are strength, intelligence, wits, agility, toughness, and charisma. Again, the 6 stats are strength, intelligence, wits, agility, toughness, and charisma. So let me go ahead and post this stuff in the voice channel chat so you guys can look at it. And let's see. Now that we are done, and Sylvia, I'll give you time to arrange stuff. So, Amy, how do you want to? Okay, so Sylvia has already finished her character roles. All
I
right,
just rolled by the. I just taking it in the order that I rolled.
that's perfectly legitimate. Okay.
Why are you still called Victoria Axelrod? I don't think you need
Because
that.
I haven't changed. Yeah, but I can put it as Silvia, but I know I was going to be called next, so there's no point in changing. Just call me Victoria.
Okay.
But I will, because if not Miguel, I know.
Yeah, actually, math didn't realize that the thing I rolled actually ended up being like 7 points lower the stat total than the array you gave us. Oh well. Anyways.
Well, I mean, the dice can also go the other direction too.
I know.
So-
I just was curious just how much lower mine was because I looked at the array you gave and realized that only one of them was a single digit number and that I had 3 single digit numbers.
On the other hand, you do have 2 15s.
Yes.
Something to think about. So, Amy, how do you want to arrange your pulp hero array? What is your strength, wits, intelligence, agility, toughness, and charisma?
Strength 15, and intelligence is 14, wits is 13, agility is 12, toughness
Just
is
a moment. I'm sorry. Let's go back to the beginning. Your strength is
15,
15. Your wits,
13,
your intelligence,
14,
your agility,
12,
your toughness.
10.
And that means your charisma is 8.
Yeah.
I can tell you're a D&D player. Charisma is a dump stat. Okay. All righty. So let's see. Mar Hockman. So how
yeah.
do you want to distribute yours?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask about that. Is, if we're doing them in order, or if it's just like choose where you want to go, which I guess it's choose where you want to go.
Sylvia chose to just do it in order, but I mean, the rules don't say you can't arrange them once you rolled them. So go ahead and tell me what's your strength out of the array you rolled.
You know what? I'll put that as a 12.
Okay.
Let's see here.
So the 12 goes into strength. All right. And what's your wits?
I think I'll put wits as 7.
Okay. Intelligence?
15.
Agility?
Ugh. Yeah, I'll go with 15, agility being 15 too.
Okay. So there goes your 2 15s. All right. And that leaves you with a 9 and another 7. So toughness is,
Yeah, I guess toughness will be 9.
and charisma is 7.
Sure.
At the charisma party. Okay. All right. Okay, so Miguel, how did you want to arrange your heroic array? What is your strength?
So strength is 12.
All right. Your wits?
My wits will be 15.
Okay. Your intelligence?
My intelligence will be my dump stat. It's an 8.
Gotcha. Your agility?
Okay, now I'm not sure about this 3. Okay, agility, toughness. I'll take the 10 for agility.
Okay. Toughness.
13.
Toughness 13 and charisma.
I save the 14 to charisma because someone has to be charismatic, so I will be the one.
Absolutely. At least one member of the party is going to be charismatic. Okay. So we've got 4 of you with your attributes rolled up. Okay. So let's do this. Let's see. When did you guys want to pick character names? Did you want to go ahead and do that now or a little bit later?
I was going to save that for after I figure out what the character class and all that stuff would be.
Agree.
Okay.
I think it's better.
Okay. Gotcha. So let's talk real quickly about what your characters already say about you. Sylvia, your character is strong across the board. Very impressive. Obviously, rolling was a good choice for you. You've got multiple choices among archetypes. Amy, your character has a high strength and a high intelligence. The relatively low charisma means that there's social interaction, disabilities there. But based on that and the rules, your character could be a warrior or a conjurer. Either way, that's very viable for you. Mar Hockman, your character is starting to look like either a specialist or a conjurer. You will have a low panic threshold. But you do have a very good intelligence and agility. So in a way, you're kind of in practice, I think your character is going to stand out in specific things. But again, whatever you want to play is what you want to play, so long as you can meet the requirements.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, Miguel, your character is a natural leader with a charisma of 14 and a wits of 15. The low intelligence, you're not looking like a conjurer or a scholar, but you have strong presence and strong perception. So that
I'll
just
do
letting you
PR.
guys know. Go ahead.
I'll do the PR.
There you go. So I'm just letting you guys know where you stand. So now we need to determine origins, right? So let's think about this. There are basically two approaches. You guys can pick your origin, and that's kind of the default system. Let me go ahead and get that posted here. Hold on just 1 second. Put it in the voice chat so that you guys have that, so you can look at it. So here you go. You can either pick one, or because we do have the option of electronic dice, or I don't know, you guys could have the Goodman Games dice like people use with Dungeon Crawl Classics and stuff. I do actually. I have several sets of them because I'm a moron and bought several sets of those very expensive dice. But you could either pick one, or you could just roll 1d7. Either one is legitimate. So let's talk about that real quickly. The 5 origins are the Iceborn, the Thawed, the Elevated, the Fringe Citizen, Wild Stock, Dross, the Refugee, Nur Fleisch, Mere Flesh. But you're still a part of Base 211. It's just that you're the one who hasn't won the genetic lottery. And remember, that does tie into the factions. And then there's the Broken. They're the people who are former Quislings who have managed to find their way to Base 211. You're kind of coming up from the bottom if you're one of the Broken. You were somebody who was a willing servant of the Xenolords, but something happened to change that. So let's talk about that for a little bit. So the Iceborn are obviously a little more advanced on the Fleisch ice scale. They're cold adapted. They get an environmental suit, but they do have a mandatory drawback in that they're isolationists. So you're not going to get along very well with any varieties of humans outside of Base 211. Also, if you're Iceborn, you are very much part of that ideology. You consider yourself and the people like you to be the superior variety of humankind. And it can manifest in both positive and negative ways, but either way, other people will know within minutes of meeting you. You have the look of eagles, but not everybody likes the eagle's gaze, especially not rabbits, but that's a different issue. So the Thawed will have spire knowledge. They'll recognize Xenolord architecture, but they're marked by the spire. The elevated, they're going to have a mutation either through rolling or choosing related to their enhancement, but there's an element of instability. There are mental issues that come out of that. But like the Iceborne, they do have an advancement on the Fleisch ice scale, whereas the Thawed are dead in the middle. Fringe citizens tend to be a little more towards the Fleisch end. They're basically the survivors of societies on the fringes of the Xenolord conquest that have been allowed to survive. Who knows? Maybe they're seen as a kind of wild reserve by the Xenolords. Who knows? They are basically going to be illiterates in the base 211 sense. They're outsiders, but they don't come from the wilds. They're not just wild humans running around. They are part of organized resistance to the Xenolords, such as it is. There's the wild stock, of course, and these are the isolated people who have just been hiding out in various places. They're not part of any organized body. They're just survivors. But of course, that means that in some ways they have a natural superiority. Many of them are illiterate because learning how to read and write is oftentimes not possible, but not even necessarily a desirable use of their time. They're very good at survival. They're very good at being quiet. They're very good at scavenging. Then there's the refugees, the Dross. These are from the lower levels of base 211 society. These are the people who just showed up because they had nowhere else to go. The leadership of base 211 doesn't even take notice of them. If they can come up with a way to survive and exist, they're allowed to do so. Of course, needless to say, this creates considerable dissatisfaction among them. They're again kind of like the Thawed. They're at like a 0. They're on the Fleisch ice scale. They start out 0, and then there's the Broken. These are the guys who are from inside the collective. They know things, but there's a problem. They were Xenolord thralls. They can't be leaders. They're at a -10 to start with on the Fleisch ice scale, which, to be frank, may be too much. I provide them as an option to play, but to be honest with you, I tend to think that players will choose one of the other 6 instead. The Broken, I mean, a lot of NPCs will be broken, whether you know it or not. But the one advantage the Broken have is their knowledge of how the Xenolords operate. Because this Broken they were a pet, they were part of a herd that was kept by a particular Xenolord overlord. That's, and they know a few things. But again, because of their experiences, they're very vulnerable to the Xenolords. So, guys, I'm going to go through, and you can either choose to roll or just pick a background, pick an origin. So let's start with Amy. Amy, what origin do you want?
I think the first one, the Iceborne.
So, what's your character concept? Do you have an idea? Just one sentence. Who is your character?
She is a female named Petra. And
Petra. Okay.
she is with her strength and intelligence, she is arrogant and she thinks a lot of herself.
Okay. What motivates her? What is it that she does? What makes her wants to do things?
You're getting to the things that give me problems in my own writing.
Okay. So let's say, given what you've said about her, that she adventures for personal advancement.
Okay, that sounds good.
this is kind of the classic Iceborne desire, right? She wants to improve, and she sees that improvement as making sure that her already superb um, baseline is further improved, and she advances in the hierarchy, and she advances in life, etc. So she's a climber. Let's see, Mar Hockman. What origin do you want? Do you want to roll or just pick?
I decided to go with Iceborne.
Okay. Give me a one-line character concept. What motivates your character? Who are you?
He was created to be, well, essentially a psyker. And it's like he's for someone who's supposed to be able to do things ordinary people just can't. Someone who is more than human, shall we say. Even if that doesn't necessarily mean he actually, gets along well with people who are just humans.
Okay. So he's basically created to be a user of eldritch real energies.
Yeah. I mean, my options were conjurer or technician. I decided to go with conjurer. It's like, so what would an Iceborne who is created to be a conjurer be like?
Gotcha. Okay. And Sylvia, what origin do you want?
I'm thinking about being a broken.
Okay.
If it works. I see here in the book that it says not good for a one shot.
Well, we're probably going to be doing more than a one shot just to make sure we can, flesh out the game. But I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to your character conception. So, who are you? Who is your character? Or what?
I have a strong strength and toughness, so I think I was basically I'm a brute. I was a manual worker somewhere with a lot of strength.
Okay. So you're a brute, a manual worker. What motivates you to adventure? What makes you do what you do?
Well, I rebelled because I was able to broke, right? Maybe I saw them kill someone I cared about. And I'm motivated by revenge.
Okay. And Miguel.
I think for this character, the Iceborne is what makes sense.
Okay. Iceborne origin. And give me your one-liner about who your character is and what motivates him to adventure.
Okay, so even though I am kind of stupid, I have high wits and charisma, so yeah, being a leader is certainly what it would be his purpose. So that will be the concept.
So let's think of it this way. He has a strong desire to guide and lead others.
Yes, that's exactly that. Yeah.
And of course, he believes he's meant to do that. So, and because bear in mind, any Iceborne automatically thinks that they are part of the elite, right? Even whatever your background beyond that, that's what you guys think. Okay, so let me make notes about this. This is going to be very interesting, especially with Sylvia playing a broken, because here we have 3 Iceborne and 1 broken. That's going to be an interesting party, and we'll just have to see what Roger comes up with. Okay. All right. We still don't have names for most of the characters, but we do for Amy's. Amy's is Petra. So now we can move on to step 3. Okay, guys, this is going to determine something about the character of our campaign. So I'm going to recommend rolling 1d6 for status. I think that would be best to roll 1d6 because you do have 3 iceborne and 1 broken. And if you're iceborne and you happen to roll high, that's going to make you guys elevated even within the iceborne, who are elite over other humans, particularly at a base to 11. But we could, okay, so Mar Hockman's already rolled a d6. Why don't the rest of you go ahead and roll your d6s and just tell me your numbers?
Roll 12, they're all the same.
Okay, I rolled mine here.
That's fine. Amy, what did you get?
4.
This dice roller really likes the 4. 4, 4, 4, 6.
Yeah. It's a problem with those kind of dice is you never know if you trust them. But I think it's handy to have them for these kind of games, especially online.
I trust this one's more than my one.
My own usually roll low. I don't know
Your
why,
own
but
dice betray you frequently, huh?
not the D6. Not the D6. My problem is the D20s. The D20s always roll low. Not the other ones, but the D20s have a problem. I think they are broken.
Yeah, they secretly hate you,
Mm-hmm.
which justifies putting them in the microwave to punish them.
Yes, I should
Um,
do that.
That's severe
or
punishment.
feeding them to your cats.
Probably not. The
Cats,
D20 they wouldn't eat that.
cats do terrible things. Terrible things to dice, given the chance. Not as bad as dogs, though. Boy, dogs will just outright eat them.
Yeah. Then cats won't eat them. They will just hide them somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah,
So let's
the
see.
cat will bat the dice around just to see how hard they can bat it across the room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
And
is tremendously
then-
irritating because it'll go under something. All righty. So let's see. Petra, which is Amy. You are favored. Begunstigter. Begunstigter. So this will give you a +1 to your agility. Your wealth tier will be affluent. So now you'll have an agility of 14. Mar Hockman, you are also favored and will also get the +1 to your agility. Now your agility is 16. Your wealth tier will be affluent. And Sylvia, you are elite, an elite broken. So you were at the highest levels of Quisling society.
Maybe I was a bodyguard. Important.
I mean, maybe you were a favored pet. I mean, who knows? But
Yes, or a bodyguard, to someone.
yeah, you're a rare example of an elite broken who left her masters. Maybe it's the kind of the Persian letters situation, precisely because you were so favored. When they did that, which made you hate them, you still had enough will left to yourself to have that hatred and to want revenge and think you were entitled to it. Whereas someone further down the chain would just accept that, whatever life handed out to them, it handed out to them. In any event, this gives you a +1 charisma. So now you're up to charisma 12. So you are elite. Presumably you brought some wealth with you to base to 11. This could explain why 3 Iceborne are even bothering to hang out with you. Because, you didn't come in as some kind of empty-handed refugee. Presumably you came with things that were valuable enough that you were allowed to keep a favored access to resources. And of course, Miguel, your character is also favored, Begunstigter. So he gets a +1 agility, which takes his agility to 11. Your character is affluent. And let's move now to the background selection. So that's kind of determined by your status. So you are all you Iceborn who have 4s, and all of you do, are the Eugenics Select. The White Creche invested heavily in your enhancement. You all get a +1 to your intelligence. So in your case, Amy, Petra now has a 15 intelligence, and she has the starting perk Vril Baptized. So what that means is you underwent a full Vril Bath immersion. So you get a +1 to all rolls within a Vril field. You also have the option to add a Vril Ray pistol or carbine to your Iceborn kit.
I'll do the carbine.
Okay. So +1 to your intelligence, making it a 15. You have a starting perk, Vril Baptized, and you will add the Vril Ray carbine to your Iceborn kit. Let's see. So let's see, Mar Hockman, same thing. Your intelligence is now 16. You also have the starting perk, Vril Baptized, which means you get +1 to all rolls when you are within a Vril field. You know, this if you choose Conjurer, I mean, there's some perks that are going to stack for you, and that's something we need to think about when the time comes. But I'll get back to that for you. Do you choose the Vril Ray pistol or the Vril Ray carbine?
I'll go with the pistol.
That's kind of the elite symbol. The Vril Ray carbine is often used by elite warriors, the Kriegerin, but the pistol is oftentimes used by leaders and scientists. It's a status. You guys are all part of the Eugenics Select among the Iceborn. So, I mean, you're status 4, but to be status 4 among the Iceborn is a good thing. You're already above most humans anyway. But we're going to remember some of this, Mar Hockman, when we come back to your character. So, Sylvia, you were a double agent. That is what it means to be elite. Now, how you want to work that into your background. So basically, you know both sides of the conflict. But from your character conception, what's happened is your masters did something that made you want to have revenge against them. So let's talk about what your elite status gives you. You get to have a +1 to any attribute. If you apply it to wits, your modifier increases to +2. But you may apply it to any stat you want to.
In that case, I'm going to apply it to wits.
Okay. All right. So you will have the starting perk Dark Secret. So you want to write that down. You're going to be kind of because the reality is what you are was known to the leadership of Base 211. So people at Base 211 will either value you highly or revile you entirely and intensely, because nobody's going to be neutral about you. But maybe that's why you're part of this party with 3 other high-ranking Iceborn. Let's see. So, okay. So again, when you finally pick your character class, this is going to make for some interesting possible, very, very interesting stuff. And Miguel. So again, you add +1 to your intelligence. That takes you up to 9, and that's a good news because now you no longer have a negative.
I'm not
You're up,
stupid. I'm just
you're at 0. You do get the perk Vril Baptized, which again is +1 to all rolls when you're within a Vril field. Do you want the real ray carbine or the real ray pistol?
I'll take the pistol. I'm not a fighter, so
Okay. It's going to be very interesting. And so bear in mind, your Iceborne, all three of your Iceborne characters represent characters who were chosen for investment. You have been Vril baptized. You have been subjected to the treatments successfully. This makes you elite among the elite already. So let's see. We still don't have names for Mar Hockman for your character, or Sylvia, your character, or Miguel, your character. Do you guys feel ready to pick names? It just makes it easier for me to keep track.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I can also.
I guess I'm far enough along for that.
Okay. Well, what's your character's name? I mean, if you guys need help random generating names, just let me know. The Iceborne will tend to have German names. Though there would have been a certain number of foreigners among the Thule Society, people who started out at the base, like favored foreign scientists from certain countries, but probably mostly Germans.
Hmm.
And if it involves umlauts or any other special spelling, please post it in the chat so that I don't get it wrong.
Well, I'll just post it in chat. Dang it, I'm trying to remember the correct way to spell this name. Ugh.
Use Grok or Gab AI or something and just tell them, how do I spell this? And then copy and paste it. I use AI so much at my job that it's become almost like second nature.
Hmm.
It's amazing how fast it started happening.
Because like there's some German name that sounds a lot like Hans, except it actually starts with a J, and I'm trying to remember the exact proper way of spelling it. Ugh.
Okay, well, let me think.
Oh, Jansen. That's what it was. Okay.
Jan, right. Or Janus, if you want the Frisian diminutive. Right.
Well, I was looking
So,
for a male name, so Jansen or. Hmm.
Jens is common in northern Germany.
Hmm. Oh, I think that's actually probably the one I was originally thinking of, but
Jens,
yeah.
Jens,
But
Jens.
I already decided to go with Jansen, so.
Okay. It's actually short for Johannes, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's like 3 or 4 different ways of shortening that, and yeah. Oh, well.
Okay. It's usually a surname. So, did you want to use it as your primary name?
Well, that is my surname. It's just that most people aren't. It feels like the situation where most people aren't going to call me by my personal name. So I started with the surname first.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's see. Let me make a note here. So Jan for short, but your full name is Janssen. Sylvia, what did you want your character's name to be?
Alexa with two X's.
Alexa.
Yes, Alexa, turn down the lights.
Alexa.
Yes, I put it in the
Okay.
my name. It's already changed.
Oh, okay. And Miguel, how about your character?
I'm not going to be Adolf because that would be silly.
If you want to be, go ahead. I mean, I don't care.
It's actually a very common name, so you know.
Well, it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah,
It used to
well,
be, apparently.
it was a very common name, and now it's less common.
Yeah.
Naturally.
It might be a
Okay.
little too on the nose, but it's whatever.
Well,
I
also
just-
is that there's several variant spellings that are not exactly the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's also like Adolphus and, yeah, various versions. But anyhow, what do you want, Miguel? It's whatever you want, man.
Friedrich.
Okay. Can you post it, please?
Yeah, I had it.
Friedrich.
Yeah,
Or Friedrich. Friedrich. Yeah, because they usually, I mean, I think Berlin pronunciation, the CH, it's supposed to be Friedrich, but they do the sh thing instead now. It's
Yeah,
Friedrich.
Well,
That's
see,
how I learned a little bit of German, and whoever was the teacher, they pronounced the sh as
well,
so Friedrich.
see, one thing that is I learned from living in Germany is that the Berlin Wall did more than create two cultural divisions. It also made it so that East and West German are actually drastically different dialects.
Well, the Germans don't consider themselves one people in the same sense that we tend to think of them at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Bavarians do think they're different from Saxons, and Saxons do think they're different from Prussians, and
But
there's like 4 Germanys.
But the reason I'm mentioning this is because of the fact that it made it so that the pronunciations of words are drastically different.
It is. I actually took some German in college, and my German teacher was from Hamburg. And I couldn't help but notice that his pronunciation of certain words was different than what the book recommended. And he said, "Well, don't worry about that. Pronounce it the way I do. The way I do it's right."
One thing that I learned while in Germany is that most Americans speaking German, the Germans won't be like, "Oh, you're speaking with an American accent and we can't understand you." It's like, no, it's like most Americans speaking German will kind of sort of sound like a West German accent and not really anything out of the ordinary that much.
I've always heard that the easiest foreign languages for native English speakers to learn are like Frisian. Apparently, Frisian is very similar to English, and Dutch. And apparently, those are just absolute cakewalks for English speakers to learn.
Well, there's a reason why so many high
German
school,
is harder.
there's
That
a
seems
reason
a
why
lot of
so many
the-
high school things have French is because of the fact that part of the French vocabulary has already been incorporated into English. So, you know, it's like,
Well, not nearly enough because I tried French in high school and hated it. Yeah, what were you saying, Miguel?
But yeah, I was saying about the Dutch that there are some words that sound like English, and sometimes that they are almost exactly the same.
Apparently, Frisians, you could easily be fooled into thinking they're speaking English until you start listening to what they're saying. They even pronounce certain phonemes like English speakers pronounce them. I heard some Frisian language on YouTube. It's fascinating. Then I actually heard somebody do what they think Proto-Indo-European sounds like, and it's like I have no idea what that is. That does not sound like a language mine is descended from. I tried to learn German, but it turns out that German is actually more different than English, than Dutch or Frisian, or for that matter, Swedish or Norwegian.
well,
Swedish and Norwegian's closer to English than German.
One of the things that people forget about England is that sometime several centuries ago, a whole bunch of people migrated from the Netherlands to England.
Yeah, from the Jutland Peninsula, a lot of Danes did exactly, and that's one of the differences is that a lot of German actually comes from what was called Low German,
Yep.
which is not the German that was spoken by the Nordics. The Nordics spoke High German,
Yep.
which is different. So that's why, and I later found out it's like, oh, I took German and I probably should have taken Norwegian or something, and I would have gotten better grades. Yeah, because I never really got along with German. I did get along with German better than French. Hated French, absolutely hated it.
But
I had
French
some
is
friends who said,
at least for
"Go
us,
ahead."
for us, it's much easier to learn French than German. I tried
Yeah,
learning
but you
German.
speak a Romance language though. It's almost
Yeah,
not
yeah.
fair.
French is much easier. The way the phrases are constructed and all the verbs, they are more or less the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese. I mean, they're all languages that have their origins in vulgar Latin.
There are
Mhm.
similarities that you can understand. For example, we can understand Spanish. Even if you cannot speak Spanish, you can understand it at least for a little bit of it. French, not
I had
quite. You have to learn it, but it's easier to
French
learn.
is a little bit different, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, there are no similarities like with Spanish, but if you learn it, you will understand how it works kind of easily.
Yeah, I had friends who told me I was a sucker for taking French, that I should have taken Spanish. Well, so years later I did take a look at Spanish and I said, well, shit, this has the same problems.
Yeah, it's the problem.
It's like I need to stop running away from Dutch. I need to just learn Dutch.
Spanish, French, I'm sure Italian would have been the same. It's all the same kind of. The difficulties would have been the same.
When I was a
Yeah.
child, I loved watching old World War II movies and Hogan's Heroes and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
a lot of those had captioning on them by default whenever anyone was speaking in German. So it was giving me a translation of what people said in German, and I started
Oh yeah.
like absorbing German from that.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's certain language I think would be fun to learn, but I just, it's like in theory, I should know more Latin than I do because, particularly with the subjects that have tended to interest me, knowing ecclesiastical Latin is very useful. But it's like, yeah, it's Latin, and then yes, it's a very regular language, and it's still not close enough to English. So, I just didn't like it that well. I'm not one of these people who just naturally gravitated towards learning lots of foreign languages. Some people are really into it and they'll put a lot of time into it, and they become polyglots. They become people who figure out how languages work, and it makes it easier for them to learn them and understand them, even if they don't know them very well. They can still figure them out faster than most people would who don't know the language.
I'm
I'm just not
kind
one of those people.
I'm kind of like that, except that I don't use foreign languages enough in daily life to have any sort of a deep understanding of any of them.
I think immersion makes a big difference. If I was to immerse myself in a language and interact with speakers every day for like 6 months to a year, but as I understand it, the Foreign Service apparently has come up with a method. I think they called it the Berlitz method. I'm not sure, but they've actually come up with a method that gives someone a high degree of proficiency within 3 months. It's like, how do you manage that? And literally, it's immersion. They spend 3 months and they don't get to speak anything else.
It's all about using it. It's because, like I was saying with learning German by watching TV, is that I was picking it up because of how often I saw it used.
Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, you need to roll for your life paths now, and that's a D20 roll from each of you. Time for your life path event. So, Mark Hawkman, you've got a 13. Amy's got a 2.
Oh, what?
This guy likes to repeat numbers. Should I roll again, maybe? Just not to be the same thing?
Okay, that's fine. I'll let you roll again. Let's see. Sylvia Alexa got a 3. And let's see. The second time, Miguel, you got a 5.
Yeah, so it's different.
Okay. And of course, you guys can follow along in the book if you want to and see what all these dice rolls mean. But let's see.
Oh yeah, I looked it up. Mine is gained a pre-war memory because I found the corpse of someone who was from before the war.
Right. So Jansen found a frozen pre-war corpse outside. So you get +2 to any roll involving pre-war knowledge, and you recall specific details of the pre-1934 world, presumably from investigating things that were found on the corpse.
Mhm.
If you're going to be a Chandler, if you're going to be a conjurer of real Chandler, this is going to be significant because it gives you early exposure to the surface and to the relics of the old world. So there is some narrative hook there. So let's see. Sylvia, you processed a friend into nutrient paste.
Maybe that was my awakening moment. They made me do that. Yeah.
That I think that's a great narrative hook. So there you go. You have become thrall scarred. So yeah. So Friedrich, you witnessed an unfinished termination. So you saw one of the unfinished terminated. So you have a choice. You can either take Thrall Scarred Minor, which to me doesn't make sense for an Iceborn, or take +1 wits. If you take the +1 wits, your wits will go to 16 and your bonus will be a +3.
That's good. Let's go with 16.
Okay. So let's take a look at where we stand with our characters. So Petra, and you survived a Kresh plague that killed your batch siblings. So you get +1 toughness. Your toughness now goes up to 11. But the drawback is that you are now scarred. So you have the scarred drawback. So here's what let me go ahead and give you guys a summary of what I'm seeing with your character. So Petra, Amy, this is your character, Petra. I'm seeing you as strength 15, intelligence 15, wits 13, agility 14, toughness 11, and charisma 8.
Agility
So
was
your I'm sorry?
what?
What's that?
Agility was what?
I'm seeing your agility is 14.
Okay.
So strength 15, intelligence 15, wits 13, agility 14. Is that correct from your calculation? Because remember, you got a +1 to your agility due to your background. I'm sorry, not your background, your origin. So you should be 15 strength, 15 intelligence, 13 wits, 14 agility, 11 toughness, and 8 charisma. And your starting perks, you're real baptized. And your starting drawbacks is that you are isolationist, which is mandatory for Iceborne origins. You're isolationist and you are scarred. That comes in from your life path. And you've got various nice starting gear, which I will provide you here in a moment. So Janssen, Mar Hockman, your character. So at this point in time, I'm showing you as having a strength of 12. Double check me, make sure these numbers sound right to you. Strength of 12, intelligence of 16. Your wits are 7.
Yeah, sounds right so far.
Your agility 16, toughness 9, charisma 7.
Yeah, sounds right.
And your starting drawback, you are an isolationist. Of course you are. You're Iceborne. It's mandatory from your origin. But you do have your starting perks. You are Vril baptized, VRIL, Vril baptized, and you have a pre-war memory. Alexa. So of course you ended up processing a friend into nutrient paste. So here's where you start. So you start with 3 drawbacks. You are a Xenolord Thrall, and that's a mandatory, that comes with your origin. So you're a Xenolord Thrall. You are Thrall Scarred. It's a minor scar. So write down Thrall Scarred Minor. Xenolord Thrall Major, Thrall Scarred Minor, and you have a dark secret, which is basically you've been on both sides, but now you are seeking revenge against your former masters because they made you process a friend into nutrient paste. So those are your 3 starting drawbacks, but you do have the starting perks inside the collective, right? Which that's your origin perk. And you basically have pre-war memory equivalent via your dark secret. So there you have something very similar to what Jan has, because of your dark secret knowing both sides. Friedrich. So you chose +1 wits.
Yep.
Let's see. And I'm looking at, okay. So let me double check I keep forgetting to go in and paste the stage that we're at. Let me go ahead and catch us up. Sorry about that. Let's see. So we've done our origin, we did our status, we did our life path event. So next we want bonds and secrets, but that is optional. We don't have to do this if you guys don't want to. So let me go ahead and post that in the channel. Why did I lose okay, there we go. So let me post where we are in the character creation process. So bonds and secrets is optional. You guys don't have to do this if you don't want to, and maybe we're not ready to do it. But the idea is you would create at least 1 bond for your character to another PC, and 1 secret that you hide. And this is outside the usual disadvantages and perks thing. This is thematic. This is narrative. This is meant to give you all connections to one another. So think about that, whether you guys want to do this or not. And if you do, let me know what they are, or if you decide you don't really want to, we can go on.
I mean, that seems like something we could just do later, honestly.
Yeah, it sounds like something that could be done
Hmm.
after creating the characters and having some
Okay,
information.
so let's skip step 5. Okay. Okay. So I've noted that Miguel, your character chose the +1 wits. So your characters, I'm sorry, I forgot to have you double check this. I'm showing Friedrich as being strength 12,
Mhm.
intelligence 9.
Yep.
Wits 16,
Exactly.
agility 11,
Mhm.
toughness 13,
Yep.
and charisma 14.
Yep.
Your starting perks, you are, of course, like the other Iceborn in this party, real baptized, right? You are eugenics selected. You are real baptized. You do have the starting drawback, which is mandatory for your origin of being isolationist.
Mhm.
So far, this is all looking pretty good. Also, let's see. 3 of the characters, you're +5 on the Fleisch Ice continuum. And Sylvia's character is -13 and starts with a fear point, which thematically makes sense given all the other things we know about her. So let's get to step 6, which is archetype selection. Let me go ahead and post archetype selection. So obviously, this is an important step. For some reason, I put roll 1d5 when I posted the other channel. It's like, that doesn't make any sense because you have to meet certain requirements. So, and besides which, most people don't have d5s anyway. So forget I put that there.
I mean, honestly, if it's a D5 roll, you can just roll a D20 and divide by 4.
Yeah, or you can roll a d3 as a d2 and either add 1 or not to your next d6 roll. There's a couple of different ways of doing it, which are kind of goofy. So let me take a look here. Here's your chance, guys, to talk about your archetypes. So your archetypes determine attribute requirements, starting skill points, health calculation, your core skill set. You do get a free specialization, a free perk, and a unique feat associated with your archetype. So I know that, Miguel and Sylvia are well familiar with this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway, because who knows, there might be somebody watching the video, and I'm sure Amy and R. Hockman would appreciate it anyway. So there's the Krieger, which is the warrior. The only requirement is that you have at least a 13th strength or better. There are 5 skill points associated with that. And the core skill set is athletics, hand-to-hand, melee, range, stealth, survival. There is the Conjurer, which, Mar Hockman, I know we've been talking about in your context all along. Or if you prefer, Thule Occultist, which probably makes more sense in terms of your character's background. Thule Occultist. The only requirement for Thule Occultist is you must have an intelligence of 13 or more. You start with 4 skill points as your baseline. Now remember, skill points is, you also take into account your primary stat, and that actually determines your ultimate skill points. But if you have a baseline of 4 skill points, and your core skill set for a Thule Occultist is Occult, Vril Technic, which is peculiar to the setting, Xenolore, also peculiar to the setting, Technical, Medicine, and Influence. There is the Gelehrter, or Scholar, Gelehrter. Scholars have to have both an intelligence of 12 or more and wits of 12 or more. They have the highest baseline skill points, 6. And basically, technical, medicine, xenolore, occult, influence, ranged. These are your typical true scientists, as opposed to the Thule occultist, who is the one who is more of the esoteric or eldritch student. Except in this setting, that means you're a real student of Vril and of Vril energy, of Die Glocke, right? Die Glocke is at the heart of a lot of this, and the mysteries of the bell energy. So that's a scholar. There's also the specialist, the specialist. They needed agility of 12 or more and intelligence of 10 or more. They have a baseline of 5 skill points. And these are your guys, it's pilot, technical, stealth, street savvy, medicine, and athletics. These are your guys who basically who specialize in doing certain kinds of technical tasks. They're not the scientists like the scholars. They're not the real magicians like the Thule occultists. Who are very much tied into the strand that came from the secret societies that founded. But they're specialists, and of course, they have an important role. And of course, there are the commandants, the leaders. And the only requirement for them is to have a charisma of 13 or more, baseline of 5 skill points, again, depending upon the primary stat. And influence, obviously, ranged attack, technical, athletics, xenolore, and survival. Now, there's only one restriction. Alexa, as a broken, cannot take leader, right? So she cannot be a leader. So let's take a look at what your characters are really eligible for. Let's see. So we've got eligibility really for every class almost. So Petra, your character could be a warrior, a conjurer, a scholar, specialist. I mean, you can't be a leader because of the 8 charisma.
A
Your
specialist.
conception. Go ahead.
I'll be a specialist in medicine.
You could do that. I'm thinking about this. Your character concept is arrogant and self-interested. She seeks personal advancement. Specialists tend to be those who serve others.
Oh, that's
It's
true.
a service orientation. Good fits for you. Warrior is a strong fit. You've got a high strength. Interestingly, Conjurer is a good fit because of your intelligence. So is Scholar. What fits best with your character conception? And you can play anything you qualify for. I would tend to recommend Warrior or Conjurer because either of these would probably suit an Iceborn who is of the elite and who is very arrogant and self-interested and desiring personal advancement, if that does in fact fit with where you think this character has ended up. Maybe you're kind of wanting to change your character conception. If that's so, that's perfectly fine. I mean, we're in the
Okay.
stage where we're rolling up characters. So you tell me, what is your thoughts about what you want to do?
It's okay. I'll just go with warrior.
Okay. So Petra will choose a warrior. And to be a Kriegerin is definitely that's very common with the Iceborn elites. Okay. So Jan, so your character can't be a warrior, can't be a scholar, can't be a leader. He can be a conjurer, a scholar. No, I'm sorry, he can't be a scholar because of his wits. So he can be a conjurer or a specialist. And I think you've already said you're interested in conjurer.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a perfect fit.
Yeah, Conjurer.
You're a perfect fit. Yeah. Or as I said, Thule occultist, which I like that for your character especially. That fits the Iceborn to a T. So Alexa, you have pretty good stats. You're strong across the board. You could be anything except a leader. You could be a warrior, you could be a conjurer, you could be a scholar, you could be a specialist. You can be anything except a leader.
I think I'm going to
But
be a warrior.
Yeah, that makes a very good sense for your character concept because your character was a brute,
I
manual
think
worker with
like maybe I was because I was elite, so I was like a bodyguard or a warrior for entertainment.
yeah,
Someone
like
like a
a
gladiator.
gladiator.
Yes, a gladiator, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because your toughness of 16, you're the toughest character in the party. So you get to be a warrior. And Friedrich, I think you were leaning towards leader, weren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a perfect fit for it.
Exactly. That's what makes the most sense. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you are a perfect fit. In fact, to be honest with you, that's the only class you qualify for. I just realized you can't be a
Okay.
warrior. You're not quite strong enough. You can't be a conjurer or a scholar. You don't have the intelligence. You have good wits. Your wits are fantastic.
Yeah, but there's no archetype that relies on wits only. So yeah, I was
Or
made
toughness, for that matter.
I
Yeah.
was made
Yeah.
since the
Really. And this really ties into your character conception too. Frankly,
beginning. Yeah.
your character can be an exceptional commandant. Okay. Exceptional commandant. What's that character from Warhammer 40K that everybody makes the jokes about? Who's like this guy who really just wants to not be on the front line of battle, and somehow he ends up this major hero and commanding a legion. I'm trying to remember what the character's name is. I don't know why I've been thinking about Warhammer 40K so much lately. The whole thing's turned so gay. Games Workshop is really screwing up. It's like, guys, it is what it is. Just go with it. All righty. Friedrich is a leader. Okay. So let's go from there. Okay. So let's assume that. So that means there are no scholars or specialists in the party, but that's fine, guys, because that's the sort of thing that can be provided by NPCs or things like that. It's not like you guys are on your own, right? I mean, you're an adventuring party, and you know, there will always be scholars and specialists back at base 211. So let me do some quick calculations. Okay. So let me go get us to the next step. Hold on. So we now are at, I believe, step 7. Give me a second here. Right. So the final steps are kind of easy from here. We don't need to expend skill points yet, but I will tell you guys basically where you are. Hold on. I'm having to read my notes. Give me just a second here. Let's see. And I posted something and I posted it badly, so I've got to cut it out and repost. Okay, these are the coming steps. So let me just tell you guys where we are right now. So let's see. So we have 2 warriors, Kriegerin, Petra and Alexa, right? Which is interesting because they're both warrior women, which is not entirely inappropriate given the foundational story, which also involves a Kriegerin. So each of you start with 5 skill points. Your starting health is your toughness plus your toughness modifier, or your toughness plus 2d6 plus your toughness modifier. I think I'm going to go with the pulp option, but I'm just letting you know that's how it. There's 2 approaches to it that I provide in the rules. Your primary attributes are your strength. Your core skill set, again, is going to be athletics, hand-to-hand combat, melee combat, ranged combat, stealth, survival. You will get a free specialization, which you can choose from one of your core skills. You will also get a free perk from the warrior list and a unique feat called Kampfmeisterschaft. So Kampfmeisterschaft, in other words, War Master, gives you +2 to all combat skill rolls. And once you obtain level 5 in any combat skills are hand-to-hand, melee, and ranged. Once you attain level 5, it becomes a +3. And there are 6 options for your warrior perks. Combat prowess, iron resolve, weapon specialist, heightened sense, Eisblut Anwärter, which is basically an addition to defense when you're already injured, and Hunter's Eye, where you can reduce the penalty on called shots. So, Jan, you're the sole Thule occultist in the group. You're going to start with 4 skill points. Again, I'm also going to give you the the pulp option. So again, it's the usual toughness plus toughness modifier, or toughness plus 1d4 plus your toughness modifier. And again, we're going to do the pulp approach. Your primary attribute is your intelligence, and your core skills are occult, vril technic, xenolore, technical, medicine, and influence. And you get to choose a specialization from any of your core skills. You get to choose any perk from the Conjurer list, and your unique feat is Vril Weisheit. So that gives you a +2 to all Vril Technic and Xenolore rolls. And you may attempt to activate or deactivate Xenolore technology untrained, should you choose to do so. So the perks you will be able to choose from are Arcane Knowledge, which gives you a +2 to Xenolore and occult rolls. You also can choose Tech Adept, which gives you a +2 to technical rolls involving Thulish or Xenolore technology, either one. You can choose Vril Sensitivity, which allows you to detect active Vril sources within 10 meters without rolling. If it's within 10 meters and you have the Vril Sensitivity perk, you know. There's also being Bell Touched. If you are Bell Touched once per session, you can re-roll a single failed Vril Technique check. There's another perk, Cold Calculation, which gives you a advantage against Xenolore's Psychic Assaults, a +2 wits roll. And then there's the Rune Scribe, which allows you to inscribe protective wards within an hour. And if you once those are inscribed, allies within 5 meters of the ward gain a +1 to their defense for 24 hours. So lots of neat little things there for a Thule occultist. Friedrich, you are a commandant, a leader. So you'll start with 5 skill points. Your starting health will be toughness plus 1d6 plus 1 plus your toughness modifier. That's the pulp version. Your primary attribute is charisma. Your core skill set will be influence, ranged combat, tactical, athletics, xenolore, and survival. You can choose 1 free specialization from any of your core skills. And you can choose any perk from the leader list. And you do have a unique feat, Stimme des Kriegsrats. So basically what that means is that allies within 10 meters gain a +1 to their resolve checks and +2 to all their panic rolls. If you are present and conscious, NPC allies check their resolve at 15% health instead of 25%. So basically, NPCs are less likely to panic and run. So, this is part of your being a leader. There are 6 perks you can choose as one of your free perks. Compelling presence. This gives you a plus to your influence and intimidation rolls. Tactical command, which gives allies within 10 meters a +1 to their initiative. There's inspiring oration. Once per session of speech, and it needs to be about a minute's worth of speech, grants all of your listeners, it removes 2 fear points. And you can do that once per session if you have this particular perk. Kriegsrat training allows you a +2 to all rolls involving the 3 currents or base to 11 politics. Now, this is particularly suitable for base to 11 based adventures, right? So there are 3 currents within base to 11 society. There's anything involving politics. This would give you an addition, a bonus to your rolls in those situations. There's also eugenic counselor, where you can get pluses to medicine and influence when in convincing others to accept treatment or applying treatments. And of course, there's also diplomatic immunity. There, you can ignore the first social penalty from Fleisch-Ice differences per session, because there is a social penalty associated with differences where people are on the Fleisch-Ice scale, which is flesh-ice scale, right? So let's take a look at where your characters are. Health calculation. So we're going to do the pulp version. So Petra, I need you to roll. Petra and Alexa, I need you both to roll 2d6. Jan, I need you to roll 1d4. And Friedrich, I need you to roll 1d6.
The buttons from the button roller just went away.
It did?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I should be able to
It-
bring it back. Hold
It
on.
relocates
Oh, I see it.
itself to the bottom of the chat window
It's at the
anytime someone
bottom.
clicks the button. I had the
Yeah, it's
same
at the
thing
bottom.
happen to me when Miguel clicked the button. I was trying to click on it myself.
Okay. Yeah, and there it is again at the bottom. Okay. So you got 6 point plus 1, Sylvia? Okay, so you got 7. Okay. And let me see. Okay, let me make some notes here. Mara Hockman, I see you got 3. Okay. Alas, Miguel, it seems that the electronic dice betrayed you.
Yeah,
A little
this
bit.
is like me.
Okay. Let's see. So let's do this. So Petra, let's see. I don't know why this is asking for why I'm asking for specialization before people. I'm going to do skill points first. So
I have 5 skill points.
right. Okay. Right now I'm trying to make sure where we are. Um. So let's see. You guys rolled for your health points. And make sure I've got this correct. So let's see. Petra, I'm showing your health as 20 because you have a toughness of 11 and you got 8. And you add your toughness bonus, so that would be 20.
Okay.
Jan, I'm showing your health as 11.
Oh, I thought it would be 12.
Lex, well, you have a 9 toughness.
Yeah, but 9 has
Oh.
a modifier of 0.
No, 9 has a modifier. I thought it had a modifier of -1. I'm sorry, I could be wrong there.
Yeah, well, I actually
you're right.
just looked that up. It's like 7 to 8 is -1.
You're right. You're right. I wrote that wrong. Fact, or check and make sure I got that right for everyone. Because you are absolutely correct. Okay, so health, and we're using the pulp option. So again, Petra is 19, because she has an 11 toughness. Sorry, I thought it was 20, but it's actually a 19. Right? Let me take a look, make sure I'm counting. Yeah, Petra's toughness is 11. Make sure I'm calculating that correctly. Numbers are my bane. Yeah, I totally got that wrong. Sorry, guys. So Petra has 19 health points. Jan, for some reason, am I right about this? Hold on. So you got 3.
I mean, I think it was just 9 plus 3 because like my modifier for this is 0, so there's no.
Yeah, I think it's 12. Yeah, you're right. So Jan is 12. Alexa is 26 is what I'm showing.
Mhm.
And Friedrich is 16. Is that correct? Did I get you correctly there, Miguel?
It's either 15 or 16. It's 1d6 plus 1, right? So yeah, that's it.
Yep. Okay. Sorry about that, Jan. I don't know why, but my numbers kept coming out wrong. I think for whatever reason, it's because your toughness is a 9, but for some reason I was showing it as being lower than that. But I know that your toughness got increased.
Well, I think
So-
what it was is that you were just like mentally swapping it with my charisma or something, because like my charisma
Probably.
actually is a -1.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so let me give you guys some of your other derived stats. Let me make sure I got this right. Because 3 of you have armor with a value of 15. So this is your armor value when you're wearing your armor. And the formula for defense is 10 plus your agility modifier plus your armor defense, is the way I've got it in the game. And that could be wrong. Actually, I think that is wrong. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and do some fixing. Anyway, so let's see. You guys have got your health numbers, and those are finally correct. So let's move on. So let's see. So your okay. So let's move on to skill allocations. So let's see. Petra, you have 5 skill points to distribute. Let me take a quick look here. So all characters. So as you know, all characters have basic skills. So every character has a +1 climb, a +1 hide, or rather, you have one level. You have one skill level in climb, hide, sneak, search, and speak your native tongue. The Iceborn will also be able to read their native tongue. Because she's an elite broken, I assume that so will Alexa. So let's get into skills. So let's see. Petra and Alexa, you each have 5 skill points, and here are the skills you can spend them on: athletics, hand-to-hand combat, melee combat, ranged combat, stealth, and survival. So you guys tell me how you guys are going to spend those with those skills, and we'll start with the warriors. And let me go ahead and put that in the chat so you have it where you can just look at it.
I already did it. I'm going to put it in the chat, but I'm going to use, because our unique feature gives us 2+ bonus to combat skills. I use my 5 points in other skills.
Okay.
In
So what are your
+2 from the unique features. But I'm missing the search. I'm just missing the basic ones. I'm going to put it in the chat.
okay?
It's search hide in native language, right?
Yeah, these are the freebies. Yes.
Okay.
If you want, I can go ahead and post those as well.
I'll just add those because I hadn't. Okay. Oh, I'm not going to have stealth because I don't think I'm stealthy. I'm probably too big to be stealthy.
So the way it works in the game, you can have up to 3 skill points at game start in any particular skill. Skills can be increased by XP expenditure through play. Skills not in your archetype's core skill set can be attempted untrained, but complex tasks may be impossible with training without training in your basic skills. Let me post that in the chat.
Are you using the primary attribute bonus to starting skills or not?
Looking at the rules as I've got them written, I'm not, but I don't know if that's standard for micro red.
Yeah, I've used that for everything.
Okay.
Which would mean that you would add those extra skills to the starting skill points.
Okay.
But you can choose not to use it, of course.
Well,
I've used it.
I'm trying to follow the book, but that could be a mistake I made in the book. I know there are differences between red and micro red, but I probably
But not that one. Usually the most of the differences are that less skills, less perks, less drawbacks, but
okay. Well, let me
the
do
skills
this.
are the same thing.
Okay. Well, let me make some notations here then while you guys are. So go ahead and write down your basic skills. I'm pretty sure that's not a difference. Let's see. Okay, let me take a quick look here. That's something I've screwed up in the base 211 text. I'll need to fix that, I guess. Yep, you're right. I just looked at it, so I screwed up. So, guys, Petra, you actually have 7 skill points, and Alexa, you also actually have 7 skill points. So, I don't know if that makes any difference to what your accommodations are. Let's see. So you have athletics 3, hand-to-hand combat 2, melee combat 3. Is that your skill point allocations? Because you have 7 skill points.
Yes, but because I'm counting, so when I put it here, I'm counting with the unique feature. So I don't forget it. With
Okay.
the unique feature.
Okay.
I can take it away if you prefer, because when I'm rolling, I prefer to have it all, because if not, when
No,
I'm rolling.
that's fine. Just tell me where you put your skill points.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
you can just tell me orally.
2 in athletics, 1 in melee combat, because I think that would be my specialty as a gladiator.
You put how many in melee combat? I'm sorry.
1.
Okay, go ahead.
2 in survival then. I had 1, but then I'll put 2. And if it's 7, I think I have 2 more.
Yes, you do.
Right.
So where do you want to put those?
Can I add other skills that are not part of the package? Let me check.
And you can check the rule book, but the way I think I have it written, you're really supposed to put them in your core skills.
Then I'm going to add stealth for 2.
Okay. And sorry for the confusion, Petra. How do you want to distribute your 7 skill points?
2 in ranged combat, 1 in melee, 1 in survival, 1 in hand-to-hand, 1 in stealth, and 1 in athletics.
Okay, 2 in range combat. I'm sorry, I'm writing things down very slow. 2 in range combat.
1 in melee,
Okay, next.
1 in survival,
1 in survival. Gotcha.
1 in hand-to-hand,
Okay.
1 in stealth,
Okay, and 1 in.
athletics.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So, okay, so there we go. So then, sorry about that. Give me a second. So Jan, you now have 7. In fact, everybody has 7 skill points. So Jan, you have 7 skill points, and they come from the um. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Since I've been screwing up certain things, now I'm having to reread what I've written and make sure that I'm not screwing something else up.
You suddenly became unsure and decided to double check everything.
Yeah, unfortunately. So Jan, here is the Conjurer's core skill set.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, do we start with 1 in all of these, or do we have to spend points to get up to 1?
You do have to spend your skill points,
Okay.
which is standard for red.
Okay then. So I am 7.
And of course, Friedrich here is your core skills as a leader. So just tell me go ahead.
Points? Is that the same thing? 7 points.
7 points. Everybody has 7 points, as it turns out.
Okay, so here's my choice. Influence 2, Rage Combat 2, Latex 1.
Okay. All right, give me a second here. And then I see. Okay, right. Okay. I think I understand what that means.
Yeah, I honestly was just like copy pasting text from the book, and it's like, okay, which of the ones am I going to skip? Okay, I'll just remove those and then add numbers to the ones that I rank up beyond 1.
Oh dear. I wonder when this happens. Sorry, guys. Okay. So now we got your skills. Okay. So what you now need to do is you now need to select from the skills you actually have some ranks in. And I think you all have ranks in most of your skills. You need to choose a specialization from one of those skills. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that I screwed up on the skill thing because that's kind of thrown me off. Um, let's see. Oh dear. Let me take a look at some things here. This is unfortunate. It's all gotten kind of bungled. And I thought I'd prepared so carefully for this. I guess the book had more issues with it than I thought. Give me just a second here. This is dead. Give me a second. Try something here. Let me think. This character creations turned out to be more complex than I thought it would be. It does usually break down at the point you get to skill selection because that's highly individualized. Okay, so go ahead and choose which skills you guys have specialization in. Take a look here.
I'm going to pick
I will.
Melody.
I will. Go ahead. Put it in the. Just put it in the chat. That's fine. Let me see. Hold on. Give me a second here. Okay. So here's our base to 11 skill specialization list. And this is, if you're looking at the document, this is this is under section 6 specializations. And this is like on, I just realized I don't have page numbers in the document, which is a mistake on my part. But
One of these
go ahead.
is assigned to wits, which is an attribute, not a skill. So I don't know if this is a mistake. It's not supposed
Which
to
are
be.
the specializations?
The last one, which is mimetic abwehr, it's assigned.
Mimetic defense.
It has
Yeah.
it has wits.
Well, also pheromone resistance is listed as toughness.
Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah.
Which are not really skills, right? I'm not sure what I was thinking there. Let's just play it as it is for now, and I can fix it later if that's something you want. The problem is that it doesn't have a parent skill, right?
Yeah, it says just well, it only mentions the attribute, not the skill. And the other one's
Right.
no attribute.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I can't think of how to fix that on the fly. So I'm not sure what I was thinking when I wrote that down. Probably thinking about it at midnight. Let me see.
Well, I have to say, it's like one thing I observed about myself long ago is that the more quickly I write something, the more likely I am to rewrite it later.
So let me think here. I need to go to the skill list and think about what I was thinking about when I got those. Give me a second here, guys. See, this is breaking down now because I'd hoped we could just get through character creation, but already I'm finding flaws in the document. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. My document's actually hard to get through.
Word documents have that problem. Navigating.
Let me see. When you start typing in them. Yeah, okay. So here's what we can do. If you guys are eligible for those, I can let people change it to one of those. But I don't want to hold us up too much on trying to fix that on the fly. Because we're very close to getting your characters complete. I'm kind of mystified as to what that meant. This is one of these things where I come back to look at something weeks after I initially wrote it, and I'm seeing things like, why does it do that? What did I do wrong? Probably I had a half-formed thought. That's always the problem, having a half-formed thought. And then, of course, you screw it up. Because I do have specializations, and technically I probably should have spelled out the skills first.
Hmm.
But anyway. Oh well, because the focus was on keeping the whole skill thing very simple. I did want to keep that pretty simple. I remember that.
I just
Oh
realized,
well.
is melee combat a skill that you can put points into?
Yeah.
Okay.
If that's part of your core skills, yes.
Okay.
There's melee combat, ranged combat, and hand-to-hand combat, which is combat at close range without weapons. And that would include using like improvised weapons, as well as your fists and feet and stuff like that. Shoot. Okay, so let's do this. I think we've reached a pretty good point with the characters. The problem is that I'm running into problems where things went wrong
Hmm.
in terms of my listing out, like, so for instance, I didn't actually write down the micro red skill points thing correctly. So you all could have ended up short of like the normal skills that you would have in micro red.
Yeah, well, when you were first explaining this, I was like, thinking back, it's like, shouldn't I get a skill point bonus based on my primary?
If you're following micro red strictly, yes.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not quite sure what happened there. The skill point bases make sense, but now I'm realizing there's things that are missing. Oh, that sucks. And it makes it very hard to fix this right now. This is why it's very good for people to read things ahead of time so they can say, Mr. DM, what about this? That's okay. I guess we found it now.
I mean, I did read through part of the book before we started this. Not all of it, though.
Yeah, I mean, that was primarily the skill stuff that I was worried about. Okay, so let's do this. Just go ahead, guys, and post in the channel what you want where you want your skill points allocated, and which skill you want your specializations in, because you get a free specialization. And just pick which skill that you have skill points in that you want the specialization in. And then go ahead and pick your free perk from the list associated with your archetype.
Okay, so me looking at the specialization list, and looking at the things that I had as like things I actually spent skill points on, it's like there's medicine, which okay, there's one option for that one in the specialization list. Technical has three options. Xenolore, which is actually listed as a specialization, and it's not listed as a parent skill of a specialization.
Okay.
Vril Technic,
like I said, just pick the skill you want your specialization in. I'm going to have to fix all that stuff. I presume this weekend.
Yeah. Vril Technic. Yeah, it's not even listed in the specialization section at all. And then there's Occult, which is a parent skill for a few things.
Right. So again, you guys just pick which skill you want your specialization in, and we'll revisit that next weekend. Because I'm going to have time to fix this. Then next thing would be for you guys to pick your perks. And I think we're actually very close. There's a few other things I got to correct as well. I can already see I've made a number of mistakes. And just didn't catch it. Some things that I didn't translate over from micro red that should have been. So we'll just go ahead and let's see. Yeah. So what I would suggest, guys, I have a number of things for your characters. Where we're breaking down is in the skill system and perks system, which tends to be where things get complicated anyway, because that's where people have the most opportunities for choice. So we will go ahead, I think, and bring it to a close for now because I've got to fix this. And then if you guys don't mind, we can try again next weekend. I do apologize. I didn't
Sure.
mean for the session 0 to run into a session 0A and a session 0B. I was hoping we would have character creation done, but this is a new game. So I kind of expected that would happen. That we would eventually run into something. I was really confident that I had the character creation down, but somehow it got messed up. I don't think I was paying close enough attention, and there were some half-formed ideas that I didn't finish. I really should have finished those first.
Well, one thing
I think that
I have personally noted as a thing that I often screw up is that I have an idea in my mind of what I want something to be. I write down parts of that and forget which parts I haven't written down yet.
yeah. So anyway, I still think we're in pretty good shape, guys. You got through the archetypes. You know how many skill points you had, and you have spent them. I do need to give you guys specializations. The specialization list is not good. The perks, you're getting a free one from the archetype list, so go ahead and pick one of those perks. You guys do have starting gear. I actually have some records on that, but I think that you guys have some of that in your origin kit in the rules. And then, of course, starting Fleisch and Ice, and that's pretty easy because 3 characters are starting at +5 on the ice scale, EIS. And 1 character, the Broken, is starting at -13, I believe, based on various other things. I know all Broken start at -10 by default. And you've got your character name, you've got your origins, you've got pretty much everything. And the rest of it, I need to fix it. This is going to require some fixing, and once we do, we can finish it up real quick and go ahead with the game. And we'll have our first game session next weekend, but we will finish fixing characters first. And I do think I have all the notes regarding what you've chosen.
The stuff I've typed up for my character, I can just send you that as a TXT file.
Yeah, if you would please. If anybody wants to send me what you have on your character sheet, either as a TXT file or a PDF or a scan or however you want to do it, that's great.
Yeah, because
I'll compare it to what I have.
All the things I've been putting into the chat about my character, I've also been copying to a TXT file.
Okay, good. Yeah, I've been making notes as well, and that's where things started falling down. So okay. Let's see. Yeah. So that's where we are for now, and I've got to fix some things about the game system. But that's okay. I kind of expected that. Sooner or later, I would find something that was broken or that I didn't quite do right. So that being said, is there anything else we need to talk about today before we break for today's session? I feel like we made progress under the circumstances. I'm going to need some time to fix and rework some of these character creation rules. I think we were doing really great up until we got to this point. And then there's some things that apparently I thought were finished and weren't, or thought were done correctly and were not.
Okay, so
My misunderstanding. So anyway, so
If I'm
what's that?
if I'm understanding it right, I have two different reasons why my character has a Vril weapon. One of which is a Vril Messer, and the other one is a pistol.
Well, Vril Messer is a different weapon than a
Oh.
Vril pistol.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Then.
Yeah, it's if you look at the rules, it's a different weapon. A Vril Messer is kind of like a vibro knife.
Oh, it's a melee.
It's
weapon. Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
it's
right. It's like the Vril rifle. It isn't Messer. It's something else. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's a cutting and thrusting weapon. It looks like a really massive long knife. I think, and Vril Messer, it's like there's a German weapon called the Großes Messer or the Kriegsmesser.
Messer.
So yeah,
Messer.
so you can think of it as
a
you can
Messer
think of it as
is like the Rambo Bowie knife.
basically, I mean, you can think of it as being like a magically enhanced vibroblade or something like that. So yeah, it's a melee weapon,
Okay.
but Vril powered.
All right. So it's like I have the pistol and the dagger. Okay, cool.
So do we have any questions before we break? I will try to get some of this fixed, and when I do, I'll let everybody know in channel, and then you can go take a look, and we'll try to make sure everybody's characters are updated. And anything that we haven't managed to finish before next Saturday, we'll just do at the beginning of the game session next time, and kind of get it quickly fixed up so that we're ready to go. But this is part of the purpose of doing this, is to enable me to find problems with the rules and fix them. Before we get in, I would hand it over to Miguel and Sylvia to turn it into a game book, because we definitely want to fix everything. And part of the problem is I may have been a little bit distracted too by the fact that I'm also trying to do Elohim at the same time. I think I've decided I need to focus on one until I finish it, and then I'll worry about the other one. So I'm going to finish Base to 11 first. Then I'll focus on finishing Elohim, which is going to be a bigger task, I think, before it's done. So any questions before we break? Amy, do you have any questions?
No, if I have any questions, I'll send them to you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yes, please send me any questions that you guys have. Post them either in the Base to 11 channel or DM me, however you prefer. Anything, Miguel, Sylvia, anything?
No questions. I will send you the character.
Okay, thank you. And okay. All righty. Well, guys, listen, I appreciate you coming. Like I said, I feel like we really made a lot of progress. I think the character creation works pretty well up until I got to this section, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to come up with a different approach to doing skills. So I wanted to kind of simplify, and I thought, well, a great way to do this is to kind of give them certain specializations that fit into the setting from the format, from the beginning, and give them a list of specializations for skills they've chosen. I actually prefer having starting characters have a well-defined set of skills, because I think it gives them a very specific role in the game. I know that in Red, traditionally, you could spend skill points outside your archetype. But I also know Micro Red simplifies the concept of archetype and really makes it much more like a traditional role or class role. And, you got your warriors, you got your conjurers, you got your specialists, you got your leaders. That makes sense to me. And for that purpose, it seems to me to also make kind of restricting them to certain skills and perks that fit that conception. That was what I was going for here, but I think I overdid it. And then I left some things undone, and I'm not sure what happened. I think I may have stopped working on something, started working on something else, and thought I had finished the thing I was working on, and I hadn't. I should have reread the book before coming to this session, but that just shows you how confident I was that I had finished it, and I had not. So now I need to finish it. So anyhow, thanks for coming, guys. I appreciate it.